Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivajakacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ji Ki, ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki, Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya Acharya Guruvar Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। समावेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयौदीरयेत्। शृण्वन्ता स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवण कीर्तनम् हृदि अन्तस्थ भद्राणि विदुनोति सुहृत्सताम्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। So today we are serving Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam from canto number 10, chapter 44, verses 1 through 5. So what I will do is, because the first 4 verses do not have a purport, I will just read them, and then the verse number 4 that has a purport, we will all call and response that verse. Shri Sukha Vacha Evam Charachita Sankalpo Bhagwan Madhusudanaha Asasadhatha Chanuram Mustikam Rohini Sutaha. Sukdev Goswami said, thus addressed Lord Krishna, made up his mind to accept the challenge. He paired off with Chanura and Lord Balram with Mushtika. Next verse. Hastabhyam hastayor badhya padhyam eva chapadayoho vichukshar satur anyonyam prahasya vijigisaya. Seizing each other's hands and locking legs with each other, the opponents struggled powerfully, eager for victory. Text number 3. Aranti dva aranti bhyam Janubhyam chaiva januni. Shiraha sirshno rasurasatava. Anyonyam abhijangatahu. They each struck fist against fist, knees against knees, head against head, and chest against chest. There is a very short purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The word aratni in this verse may indicate the elbow as well as the fist. Thus, blows were perhaps also struck with the elbow, a technique seen today in various martial arts. Text 4. Pari brahmana vikshepa parirambhava patanai utsarapana pasrapanais chanyonyam pratyaarudatam. Each fighter contended with his opponent by dragging him about in circles, shoving and crushing him, throwing him about in circles, shoving and crushing him, throwing him down, and running before and behind him. And again, there's a one-line or a two-line purport on this. Sridhar Swami explains that the word parirambha indicates crushing one's opponent with one's arms. Text number 5. Utthapanairunnayanish chalanai sthapanairapi parasparam jigishantav apachakratur atmanaha. If somebody would like to. Utthapaner unnanish Utthapanairunnanish chalanai sthapanairapi parasparam jigitsatva Matajis. Utthapanairunnanish chalanai sthapanairapi parasparam jiginastava parasparam jigirastava. Word to word meaning, kindly repeat. Utthapanai, with lifting up. Unnayanai, carrying. Chalanai, pushing away. Sthapane, holding stationary. Api, also. Parasparam, each other. Jigi Shantau, wanting victory. Apa Chakratuhu, they harmed. Atmanaha, even themselves. Translation and purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Forcefully lifting and carrying each other, pushing each other away and holding each other down, the fighters hurt even their own bodies in their great eagerness for victory. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami explains that although Krishna and Balram did not, of course, harm themselves, it appeared the way to Chanur, Mustika, and others of mundane vision. In other words, the lords were fully absorbed in the pastime of being wrestlers. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guron Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Aradhyo Bhagwan Vrajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadu Vargena Taya Kalpita Srimad Bhagavata Puranayamalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Mataidam Nayatrayagraha Paraha Ajanulambito Bhujo Kanakaya Vidhato Sankirtanai Pitaravo Kamalaya Taksho Vishwambharo Dvijavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Karunavataro Navanirada Nindita Kanti Dharam Rasosagar Nagar Bhupavaram Shubhavankimacharu Shikhanda Shikhim Bhaja Krishna Nidhim Vrajaraja Sutam Radhika Sarodayindu Nindimukha Mandali Vandiye Shri Pada Padma Vrishabhanu Nandini. Hare Krishna. My humble obeisances unto all the assembled Vaishnavas, Maharaj, all the esteemed brahmacharis of Sri Sri Radha Ras Bihari Temple and the congregation members. May the words that emanate from my mouth be pleasing to all the Vaishnavas and in line with Srila Prabhupada and the Rupanugas. I beg for the mercy of all the Vaishnavas so that I can accomplish today's service to Srimad Bhagavatam. So this chapter is entitled Krishna Kills Kamsa. We are into the 10th canto, which is the beautiful pastimes of Sri Krishna. And Thakur Bhakti Vinod mentions in one bhajan, I think it is Gopinath Mama Nivedana Shuno from Kalyan Kalpataro. He says, Ashiya prapanche karane lila koile shubhistar. My dear Krishna, you appear in this material world for the purpose of delivering the souls, to attract the souls by performing wonderful pastimes. So, prior to this chapter, in chapter 43, Krishna had killed, when he entered the arena, the ferocious elephant, Kuvalyapida. Krishna had killed him, and he had actually, he was sprinkled after killing Kuvalyapida. He was sprinkled with the blood, and he had actually taken off one tusk from that ferocious elephant that was sent to kill him, and he carried it on his shoulder as a weapon. Lord Krishna appeared unprecedentedly beautiful as he entered the wrestling arena. There is a little remembrance of similarly when Krishna was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and Bhishma Dev's arrows scathed him on his arms and some blood appeared on his transcendental body. So, such wonderful pastimes may to the ordinary vision feel that, oh, Krishna is also hurt just like us mortals, like human beings, etc. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti comments that the arrows of Bhishma Dev were just like the bites of a lover. So, similarly, Krishna appeared very magnificent after killing Kuvalyapida. And Chanur, one of the demons, associates of Kansa, stepped forward and challenged Krishna and Balram to wrestle. They challenged Krishna Balram, saying that, Chanur said, King Kamsa wished to see such a match. It was the desire of our king, Kamsa, to see this wrestling match. And Krishna, as usual, is very witty. Is amazing. And even in his wittiness, he is so humble and so polite. He tells Chanur that we meaning Vrajvasis, Krishna and Balram, we are kind of nomadic forest folks living in the one. We are nonetheless subjects of the king. So Krishna says we are subjects of King Kansa. Thus, we will not hesitate to please him. Just see how diplomacy, we have to learn so many things of how Krishna speaks, how he answers, especially we find that in Mahabharata. Sometimes we find that those who have a lot of power, rightfully so, they have that aggression in them. And they, oh, let me see who's going to fight against me. Oh, you will fight against me. And rightfully so, we find that a lot of those powerful wrestlers or warriors, they have that huge, humongous spirit in them. But Krishna is saying, yes, it is the king's desire and we are his subjects. So it is, our duty to fulfill his desire. Like this, he said, we will not hesitate to please Kansa with an exhibition of wrestling, as you wish. As soon as Chanur heard this, he suggested that Krishna should wrestle him and Balram should wrestle the other demon, very powerful wrestler known as Mustika. Now, we find that there is some history behind this pastime as well. Kansa himself, in his past life, was the demon Kalnemi. And he was the son of Hiranyaksha. Kalnemi, we know the twins, Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. So Kalnemi was the son of Hiranyaksha. And also it is said that Kalnemi had a daughter by the name Vrinda. So, just a little bit of a background so that we can understand this pastime to a certain extent, if not very fully. And actually, due to his behavior, meaning Kalnemi's behavior, his uncle Hiranyakashipu had cursed him. And after much pleading, like when the rishis or somebody curses, like Jai Vijay were cursed by the 4 Kumaras, and they said that you will take 7 births in this material world, in this sansar, and then it was mitigated, and 3 births of a demon, so that they could come back home, back to Godhead very quickly. So similarly, they mitigated with their uncle and said, please, moderate your curse. And they were then actually born as the first 6 sons of Devaki, the births of Kalnemi. And also in that same birth, Kalnemi would be reborn as Kamsa, the son of Ugrasen. In the Vrishni dynasty, he was also known as the Bhojapati, he is the son of Drumil and Padmavati. Drumil was one demon who had disguised himself as Ugrasen. Padmavati was married to Ugrasen, but there was an extramarital affair with this demon who had actually kind of forced Padmavati, Kansa's mother, to have union. And nevertheless, Ugrasen, being a wonderful devotee himself, even he knew that this is not my son, Kamsa is not my son, he adopted him out of kindness. So Padmavati, the mother of Kansa, actually curses the demon Drumil for disguising himself as Ugrasen. And his mother Padmavati actually was so upset that she actually cursed her own son Kansa by saying that you will be killed by your own family. Padmavati Mata curses her own son because she did not like the son coming out of her and the demon Drumil. So Padmavati cursed her own son and said, you will be killed by one of your family members. And of course we know who was he killed by his nephew, Krishna. And like this, Padmavati had this very aggressive nature, something that was a part of the pastimes of the Lord. Even when I do remember the part when Mother Rohini was mentioning about the pastimes of Vrindavan to the 16,000 queens of Dwarka, when they all gathered around her. So at that time, Padmavati was belittling, kind of undermining the position of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai, and kind of saying, oh, don't listen to them. See, these two boys, they actually belong to us. Because they were foster children, they were mistreated. Just like we find that a lot of foster children or children that are there in orphanages, we hear about them being mistreated. They were not even given proper food. Padmavati was telling, they were given simply some butter and some rotis. And there was no elaborate. And here, in Mathura, we can give them the opulent 56 bhogas, chappan bhog. They were so cruel that from morning to evening, Nanda and Yashoda gave the cows, to them to take care of them, and they never got even any payment for it. These two boys worked very hard labor. They went out into the forest early in the morning and they would return in the evening. And again in the evening they would get some makhan, a little bit of makhan and roti. And also, not only that, Nanda and Yashoda are so cruel that they sent Krishna without any shoes into the harsh forest of Vrindavan. They did not even provide any shoes to them. Just see the cruelty of Nanda and Yashoda. So if somebody wants to find fault, they can find fault with even the most beautiful Sharad Purnima moon. Srila Prabhupada said that devotees should appreciate the beauty of the moon and not the spots on it. And sometimes we have seen that we have that habit of looking at the spots and not the beauty. Sometimes somebody has worn a pristine, nice white dhoti kurta, and supposing they have a ballpoint pen in their pocket and they see one leak, the first thing that they notice is oh Prabhu, look at that. You have a spot on your pocket. Rather than appreciating how beautifully that person is dressed. Just as an example. The first thing we have this habit is to find fault. So that is the attitude of personalities like Padmavati, the mother of Kamsa. And naturally, somebody like Kansa was born to her, who was also very critical of the sadhus, of the devotees, etc. So like this we find Kansa had many alliances, Banasura, Narkasur, and they would advise Kansa to overthrow King Ugrasen and take over the kingdom. Just like we find in not too far, about 500 years ago in the history of the Mughal dynasty, how the father was locked in the prison. We find there is history, and the son would capture the throne. So that happens when we have the wrong association, wrong advice. That is why it is so important to have the proper sangha. That is why it is called Sat Sangha. What does Sat mean? Sat means truth is the secondary meaning. Sat means eternal. And truth is, the real truth is eternal. So yes. So Sat means eternal and Sangha means association. That's Sangha that will take you to eternity. Back home, back to Godhead. So that is Satsanga. So when we have Satsang, then we will not be unnecessarily distracted as long as we are in the Sangha of devotees. This is very important. So people like we find in our society, in even our own family, there are people who will say, what is this Hare Krishna that you are doing? What are you spending? You are very young. You should be going out, making a big career, going to the social gatherings, etc. And spend your time like that, etc. So these are the types of people who are like the Banasur and Narkasur. So Kamsa was ill-advised. And also Chanur, who was one of the advisors of Kamsa, he said that, you should also make an alliance with Jarasandha. He is very powerful, and Jarasandha had actually attacked Mathura even when Kamsa was the king, and Kamsa defeated him many times. But he was very powerful. So Chanur advised, it's time for you to make alliance. And how do you make an alliance? You marry the daughters of Jarasan, Asti and Prapti. That way, you will become extremely powerful. When Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Sundar ki, Shri Shri Lalita Vishaka Radha Ras Bihari ji ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ji Maharaj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande. So like this we find that he made the alliance and married the daughters of Jarasan. And there's not much in today's purport, but there's a good point that is being brought here. That Srila Jiva Goswami explains that although Krishna and Balram, they did not of course harm themselves. Because it is said that in this verse, that it appeared that they harmed themselves when the wrestlers are fighting. Which is quite natural that when there are heavy fists and blows that are being swung around, then both the parties who are wrestling will get hurt. So, it appeared that the way that Chanur and Mustika and others of mundane vision, those who could not see Krishna properly, in the proper perspective, in other words, the lords were fully absorbed in the pastime of being wrestlers. So, they appeared that they were hurt, but it was not so. So, there are various people who also saw Krishna and Balram in the arena, in that wrestling arena. They saw him in different ways according to their specific relationship with him. There's a wonderful verse in the Brahma Samhita where Lord Brahma says, Yam krodha kama sahaja pranayadi bhiti vatsalya moha Guru Gaurava Sevya Bhavai Sanchetya Tasya Shadrisham Tanuba Purete Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So those who actually, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is the one who actually translated and gave the purport in the Brahma Samhita. Amazing, very, very deep realizations. And of course, the English is so immaculate that sometimes you need to sit with a dictionary to understand the English of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that I adore the primal Lord Govinda, the meditators of whom, by meditating upon him under the sway of wrath, amorous passion, natural friendly love, fear, parental affection, delusion, reverence and willing service attain to bodily forms befitting the nature of their contemplation. So basically, this particular verse is telling us that the way we see Krishna, accordingly we will obtain a particular body. As we perceive the Lord. So, Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada in this, Srila Prabhupada says in this purport that devotion is of two kinds. Vaidhi Bhakti, which is roused by following the rules and regulation. There is faith, Shraddha in the Shastras and instruction of the Gurus or the preceptors or the Vaishnavas. Such bhakti is of the nature of loyalty to the scriptural regulations. So that is Vaidhi, Vidhi Anusar, according to the Vidhi. And then there is the second kind of stage of bhakti, which is much higher, known as Raga Bhakti. It is also known as Raganuga Bhakti or Rag Atmika Bhakti, which turns into Bhava and Krishna Prema, which is a very high and a very substantiative feeling. In this particular shlok of Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma describes the different rasas, Shant Ras, Dasya Ras, Sakhya Ras, Vatsalya Ras, and Madhurya Rasa. Shant Bhav is expressed by just no service but just happiness by having darshan of Krishna or his expansions like Paramatma. Dasya Bhav is when one feels that one is an eternal servant of the Lord. And who other is the highest in Dasya Bhav is none other than our Hanumanji. Right? Even in the Hanuman Chalisa it says, Sada Raho Raghupati ke Dasa. Because that is his bhav. Right? And then Sakya Rasa, wherein one can have a relationship of friendship with Krishna. And in Vatsalya Bhav, one can consider Krishna as their child. One can feel like the parents of Krishna. And Madhurya Rasa, or the conjugal love, amorous love, that is all included in Raganuga Bhakti or Raga Bhakti. But here, anger, fear and delusion, though they are of the nature of instinctive impulse, are not devotion in the strict sense of the term. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada remarks in his purport. He says that when somebody is constantly thinking of Krishna in anger, like Kamsa. Kamsa was always fearful of Krishna, bhai, constantly in bhai, just waiting. From the moment he heard that Akashvani, that predicament, that the eighth son of Devaki will kill you. But from that moment that fear came in and he started attacking his own sister Devaki, wanting to kill her in front of everybody in her own marriage ceremony while he was going to take her home. That fear had instilled and a fear remained throughout his whole life. So he was constantly Krishna conscious, in other words. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that anger, fear and delusion, though they are the nature of instinctive impulse, for him it was instinctive. The demons are always thinking of Krishna as an enemy, out of anger, etc., out of delusion. But it is not bhakti or devotion in the strict sense term, because they are not friendly but hostile to the object of worship, which is Sri Krishna. So Kamsa was displayed that anger is found in Asuras as an example, also in Shishupal. Fear, we find that the example, perfect example is Kansa. And delusion is found in the Panditas or the Gyanis. They are deluded because they want to merge into the Brahman. So, but as there is no friendly feeling towards the object of devotion, there is no bhakti. Actually, Thakur Bhakti Vinod says, I think in the same bhajan that I mentioned earlier in Gopinath Mama Nivedana, the last stanza. Pailo charana ashura shakala, binode thakilo boshi. All the demons have also obtained your lotus feet. Because whenever Krishna kills a demon, he kicks him, or even he dances on the demoniac Kaliya, he obtains the lotus feet of Krishna. Right? Pailo charana ashura sakala. All the demons, some or the other, they have obtained the mercy of your lotus feet. Binode thakilo boshi. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I am simply tired waiting for your mercy. When will that mercy come? Just see the humility that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is expressing. So like this, fear, anger and delusion, what is their destination of such personalities? They attain Sayujya Mukti or liberation in the Brahma Jyoti. And the Shantaras devotees, they attain a Brahman or the Darshan of Paramatma in their own hearts and in the hearts of everyone. The Vatsalya class of worshippers get bodily forms befitting father and motherly sentiments, and the amorous loves, meaning the Madhurya Rasa devotees, they attain the pure forms of the gopis. They attain the forms of the gopis in Raj. And so this is our goal, actually speaking. We are so fortunate that we are in this most exalted movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, and such great personalities like Rup Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Coming in their line is Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada has given us this wonderful opportunity to obtain Krishna Prema. Devotees, generally when we ask, what is your goal of life? So they say Krishna Prem. But Krishna Prem also is of different categories. Just to touch on that, and then I will end my end this class today. Rup Goswami Pad explains in the Bhakti Rasam Sindhu different levels. There is, once one attains Krishna Prema, Krishna Prema has got many different degrees. There is Sneha. There is Krishna Prema in Sneha, in Mana, in Pranaya, in Raga, Anuraga, Bhava, Mahabhav, Rudha Bhav, Adhirudha Bhav, and Modan and Madanakya Bhav. Of course, the last two, Modan and Madanakya, are the exclusive highest prem that is only that Srimati Radharani can possess. But Mahabhav, all the gopis can in Raj, in Madhurya Rasa. So can you imagine, we are in this college or school of the highest theism, where we can obtain that Raganuga Bhakti, and we can actually attain that. How we can attain it is if we have that strong desire, and if we see Krishna, perceive Krishna in that way. We were talking about the perception, like in this verse, Jiva Goswami comments that to others, they were deluded and they could see that Krishna and Balram were hurt. And then that prompted me or inspired me to speak on this verse of Brahma Samhita, Yam Kam Krodha Pranayadi Bhiti, etc. Where according to one's vision, one can obtain the proper befitting body. So we are so fortunate that if we practice our Vaidhi Bhakti very nicely, then the doors to Raganuga Bhakti will open. Every day we sing in the Guru Puja, Chakshudana Dilojai, Janme Janme Prabhushai, Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. What does that mean? Our Acharyas explain that the Chakshudan Dilojai, His Divine Krishna Prabhupada and his sincere followers, even though they may not be present in Vapu, in physical body, if we practice our Vaidhi Bhakti so perfectly, then things will be revealed within our heart. Divya Gyan Hriday Prakashito. And then we will be, the new doors to Raganuga Bhakti will open. And then we will be able to see Krishna as our lover. Because that's what the school of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. We are actually speaking not into Vatsalya Rasa or not into Sakhya Rasa either. When our perfection is attained, then just like when a student is going to medical college, then he knows that yes, his final goal is he's going to become a doctor and he's going to become a specialist. Now even within specialties, there are different kind of specialties like cardiologist, pulmonologist, oncologist, neurologist, different kind of specialty even after they become doctors. So in spiritual life also there are specialties where there is a relationship, and if we can perceive Krishna as our lover or he is our beloved, then we can attain a befitting body as explained by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, a body of a gopi. That is the ultimate goal, and that is how he reciprocates. Krishna reciprocates through his holy name also. Right? What is that? Nama Chintamani Sri Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Nityam Shuddha Mukto Abhinnatvam Namna Namino. So if we strongly realize and we have that firm conviction that the holy name Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If we have strong conviction that he is Nanda Nandan in the word Krishna, in the word Rama, and Hara or Hare is all those Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said Nija Sarva Shaktis means not only the highest Haladiri Shakti Srimati Radharani, but all the loving, amorous, conjugal love, the devotees in Mahabhav, they are all included in it, including the gopis of Vrindavan are included in the word Hara. Including the Manjaris, the gopis, and the and Srimati Radharani are all included in the word Hara. Jiva Goswami Pad explains this in the Mahamantra Dipika. So, when we chant Hara, we are actually asking for mercy right from His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada all the way to Srimati Radharani, which is the mercy we are asking in the Aroha Pantha. And when we receive mercy, it is Avroha. It comes from Srimati Radharani through the perfect channel. So like this holy name can give us Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. It will give us that befitting body when we get that perfection. And we will get that befitting vision of seeing Nandan Krishna as our lover and our apple of the eye. That is the ultimate, consciousness that we want. That is what we need to obtain. The bhav. So that will be obtained when we Param Vijayate, the highest Vijayate. There are so many different meanings and explanations given of the Chaitanya Sistastakam. But one of the meanings that comes to my mind is Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam means this Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy names, will give us the highest victory. And what is that highest victory? We will completely, be eradicated of our bodily concept, and we will be situated on a spiritual platform. And that spiritual platform, or that bhava, that Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, when we obtain that Ekadash Bhav and Krishna Prema, our object and vision will be the only love for the son of Nanda Maharaj and his associates. In one sense, one of the acharyas said that Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam for our Gaudiya Vaishnavas is Manjari Bhav, obtaining that as the highest. I will simply say one thing and end. What is that? Sometimes we want to associate with Krishna. We want to have Krishna as our lover, and some of the feelings is that we want to become a gopi. That's all right. But higher than that is that bhav or that sentiment of a manjari. A manjari never desires to enjoy with Krishna. Manjari always desires the union of Radha and Krishna, and performs the seva in such a way that the highest bliss is obtained by that manjari, even more than the gopis. That bliss is obtained through the service. So, through their seva, it translates into sukha. And that sukha, they give that sukha to even Radha and Krishna. Just something to contemplate about. When we perform some devotional service, we get some sukha, we get some bliss. When we, for the result of bliss, we can either enjoy that bliss, or we can beg for mercy that it is translated, or it will convert that sukha into more seva. And if that more seva will give us sukha, that sukha, we always wish that, oh my Radharani, oh my Krishna, may all my happiness go to you. That is the bhav of the manjari. Even that sukha, they do not want to enjoy themselves. That is the kind of body. And all our acharyas are manjaris. Srila Prabhupada did not reveal his eternal form. He said, somebody asked him, but what are you in Krishna Leela? He said, if I tell you, you will faint. But Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we know, he is Nayana Manjari. Srila Gaur Krishna Babaji Maharaj is Guna Manjari. So is the six Goswamis. One of them is Guna Manjari. I think Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Like this, Rupa Goswami is Rupa Manjari, Sanatan Goswami is Labhanga Manjari, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, like that, Champak Lata Manjari, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is Kasturi Manjari, Loknath Goswami is Manjulali Manjari. So like these. So, I heard this wonderful example, just one more minute. When one time, Lord Ramachandra and all, they were all seated in the Sabha, in a beautiful, and all his close associates, including Sita Mata, his brothers, and Hanumanji Maharaj, they were all situated there. And one devotee asked, who is the highest object of worship? So Sita Mata simply, by her corner of her eye, she simply shows my husband Lord Rama. He is the highest object of worship. Then, when they looked at Lakshman, the same question, what is the highest object of worship? Lakshman said, both of them, Sita and Ram. When the same question was asked to Shatrughna and Bharat, who is the highest object of worship? It says Sita, Ram, Lakshman. Sita, Ram, Lakshman. And when Hanumanji was asked, what is the highest object of worship? He said, all of them. That means Sita, Ram, Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrughna. All of them. So, Hanumanji doesn't want to replace himself as Bharat or Shatrughna. The bhav is, or the Manjaris do not want to replace themselves as gopis. Their bhav is they get more ecstasy than even the others, because Hanumanji says, when I serve all four, my ecstasy is four times. So that kind of bhav, when we are sincerely qualified, and when we think about that, then Krishna will give us that particular bhav and that particular body. So that is the summum bonum that I could gather out of this verse about what the different people, how they visualize Krishna as he appeared in the arena of Kans, or in the wrestling arena. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. If there's any questions or any comments, do we have any time, Maharaj? Or any? So I think, yeah, it's book marathon time. So we will end our katha here. And if anybody has any questions, corrections, you can meet me after the class. Thank you. After the class, Maharaj has instructed. So we can definitely. Srila Prabhupada ki Gaur Premanande, Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Gaur Premanande. Hare Hare Krishna.